You're watching BetSafe. Welcome to St George's Park. We're talking England versus Scotland, one of the oldest rivalries in world football. We've just listened to Gareth Southgate's press conference. With me is Nick Collins. Nick, we were listening to Gareth talking about Wayne Rooney for quite a long time. Does it warrant the airspace, do you think, with a player like Wayne Rooney and being left out?
It's inevitable, Pete, that this was going to happen. The very first question he was asked is, could this be the end of his international career? He's been left out again. Gareth Southgate said it doesn't have to be. That said, he also mentioned the fact that Wayne Rooney's got a big decision to make this summer in terms of whether he stays in this country and tries another season at Manchester United, or if he heads off to the Far East or even the USA. If he leaves England, I think that is the end of his international career. But the door is still open. I know it's a bit of an old cliche, but clearly he's not going to completely dismiss him. Players of that quality, he says, you can never say no. I think I'd be surprised if we saw a great deal more of Wayne Rooney as an England player. He's 119 caps, 6 short of Peter Shilton. I mean, he'd be desperate to try and get there to create the new all-time record, but I think he'll find it very hard from here on in.
With Wayne Rooney, remember years ago we used to talk about Lampard and Gerrard, whether they could play together. Did Wayne Rooney suffer almost from a problem of shoehorning into a side, do you think, sometimes, and particularly with new tactics, and various formations?
Well, yeah, that's a good point you make, because at the moment, if you look at England, you'd go, well, who's going to be up front? It's going to be Harry Kane or it's going to be Marcus Rashford, and then the 3 number 10s, if you like, that Gareth Southgate mentioned that he played against Lithuania with Sterling, Dele Alli and Adam Lallana. Where does Wayne Rooney fit into that, even if he is playing well? When he was at his peak, just playing off someone like Michael Owen, yeah, he had a very clearly defined role, but the formations have changed slightly, and I think he has found it a little harder. As he's lost his pace as he's got older, he's not been able to be the main man up front on his own so much. Yes, play him in the number 10 role, but then there are some fantastic number 10s around for England, which is why, in a sense, Gareth Southgate had to play 3 of them last time out against Lithuania, and Wayne Rooney wasn't one of them. It's a shame because, the last time England beat Scotland in Glasgow, Wayne Rooney was the man, and it wasn't that long ago. He got 2 of the goals in a 3-1 win, and he played against Scotland, of course, at Wembley, but not nearly as effectively last autumn as we've seen him in the past. So, yeah, I think in a sense he's just fallen victim to the fact that he's got older, he's got a little slower, and there's a new breed of England player coming along that's young and is very good. Gareth Southgate himself said some of the best players are the youngest players.
Talking about Marcus Rashford, obviously teammate of Wayne Rooney. Now, when Gareth Southgate was the England under-21s manager, he was always harking on about, I want my best players for the under-21s. Singing a little bit of a different tune now, isn't he? Because now he's the England manager. He's saying, well, actually, Marcus Rashford probably should be in the full side and not go with the under-21s. He's played 65 games for Manchester United. Yeah. What do you think? Because I know you've got a different theory anyway, and that possibly he won't start against Scotland.
Well, I'm not sure they necessarily will. If Gareth Southgate goes with a 4-2-3-1, you would expect Harry Kane, given the way he finished the season with all those goals, that he would be the man that would lead the line, if you like. Maybe Marcus coming on in the second half as a substitute. But listen, in terms of whether or not he goes to the under-21s, when Gareth said it a few months ago, you totally understood why he would want to take someone like Marcus Rashford to the under-21s, having been an under-21 manager himself and seen the likes of Harry Kane go to tournaments and what it can do for their development. But he's also a pragmatist, and I think at the end of it all he realised that suddenly Marcus Rashford is becoming more important for Manchester United, and as such is playing more games, and therefore Jose Mourinho is going to get a little worried if one of his players suddenly goes through the whole season like that, plays the senior international games and then switches to the tournament. I think it would have been a big ask, and on this occasion, I think they've got there the right way in the end, but it's a bit of an about turn by Gareth in a sense, but because he was very strong on wanting Marcus Rashford to have the tournament experience. But we shouldn't forget he did go to Euro 2016, so he does have tournament experience. It's not like the World Cup will be his first major one next year. So from that point of view, I think it was tempting because he made such an impact with the under-21s when he played that one game, got that hat-trick, and England scored 6 goals, and you can see why they'd want to take him. He could be the man that could land them that under-21 championship. But on the other hand, I think you've got to take the bigger picture into account. And the fact is, he's a senior player now. Gareth Southgate said that himself, and for that reason, yes, you can understand why he would pick him in the senior squad, and I'm afraid that's hard luck for the under-21s.
Also, questions for Gareth about captaincy. People have argued that there isn't a natural outstanding captain within the current squad, not like there has been before. But what are you looking at? I mean, where do you see the captaincy role coming from?
Well, OK, maybe not an outstanding captain, but you know what? Gary Cahill isn't a bad leader. I mean, he's led Chelsea to the Premier League title this season, so he's got more than 50 caps as well. He's not let his country down too often. I think he's absolutely tailor-made as the man to step in. Yes, there's Joe Hart as well as another experienced player, but you know what? It's the old story. Do you have a goalkeeper or a centre-forward as captain? Do you know if you could have a central defender or a central midfielder, they're surely the people that should be captain because they are involved in the game the most. They can see what's going on ahead of them as well. So to me, it's a no-brainer. It should be Gary Cahill as captain. Obviously, Gareth Southgate had to be a little careful with what he said because he says he hasn't decided yet, and selection issues could yet mean that doesn't happen. But I'd be surprised if Gary wasn't captaining England against Scotland in Glasgow.
Number one, do you think Joe Hart? I mean, has Fraser Forster done enough to push him? I mean, are Torino that big enough a side now to mean that Joe's automatically in the number one shirt?
Well, I think he'll soon realise that he's not necessarily automatically in the number one shirt as Jack Butland continues to make his recovery from that long-term injury, and he's come back really well, but it's probably a bit too soon for him. I think what Gareth Southgate's got to do is strike the right balance between rewarding the players that did well for him last time and reflecting the fact that other players are in really good form as the season finishes. I mean, it's been over 2 months since England last played, but it would be tough to take the starting position away from Joe Hart. England are the only team in the European section of World Cup qualifying that haven't conceded a goal yet, and Joe Hart's been between the sticks for all those games and has played a big part in that. So it's got to be Joe Hart for me. And again, the extra experience, 70 caps. This won't be a cakewalk in Glasgow on the 10th of June. Believe you me, forget Scotland's ranking and the fact that they're struggling in this group. This will mean so much to them. I would want England's most experienced keeper there, and that's Joe Hart.
At the start of this, we started talking about, one of the oldest rivalries in world football. You can't ignore that factor, can you? No matter where England think they are, going to Glasgow, as you say, and playing Scotland, and they come off the back of a decent victory as well, don't they?
Well, they do, yeah. That Chris Martin goal late on really did help their cause, and it's, as Gareth Southgate said, it's made their task a little bit harder. I'll tell you something, Pete. Covering England for 25 years, all around the world, more than 270 games, I have never, ever been in a stadium with a more hostile atmosphere as the national anthem is booed by nearly everybody in it, as I was at Hampden Park in 1999 ahead of those playoffs for Euro 2000. Now, as it happened, England managed to draw strength from that. The whole world's against us, and they went and won 2-0 and pretty much destroyed that tie there and then. But Gareth Southgate didn't play in that game, but he was part of the squad, so he would have experienced exactly what those players went through. And he talked today, didn't he, about, from a sporting point of view, he loves this kind of confrontation where you have to plant a flag in the sand and fight for your country, is how he described it. A great description. But yeah, he gets it because he's been in a couple of those kind of situations. So Scotland, yes, England beat them easily 3-0 at Wembley. Yes, they beat them 3-1 at Glasgow Celtics ground a couple of seasons ago. Yes, they beat them at Wembley before that. Each time they got 3 goals. But if they get 3 goals and win again this time around, they really can be satisfied because this is almost last chance saloon for Scotland. If they were to lose this one, their chances of going to the World Cup are pretty much over. So England will know they're going to be in a real battle. I mean, it's an intriguing game. There's no two ways about it. And as I say, that's why I think you go for your experienced players and the ones that can actually make sure they can stand up to the test that they'll face.
Interestingly, England won 3-0. Scotland had more shots on target at Wembley than England did. Gordon Strachan as well, probably under a little bit of pressure. going into this game. But there was certainly no mugs, were there, at Wembley?
Well, no, they weren't. I mean, England took their chances, 3 headers, which was slightly bizarre. But as you say, Scotland did have more chances, but it's the quality of chances that was the key really that night. And again, we may see a similar kind of thing where Scotland will pour forward, England will try and just hold them and look to hit them on the break and try and take advantage of the pace that they've got in their team. Sterling, Lallana and Dele Alli behind Harry Kane, if that's the way they go, or if it's Rashford. I mean, there's pace there and there's goals there, and you'd fancy England would be able to score. But equally, I think that they'll find with the crowd and the way that Scotland have, this is their last stand, that they will absolutely make England fight every inch of the way for the 3 points. I still think England will win, but I do think it'll be a tight game.
Let's put our money where our mouths are then. Let's go for the side. We're going Joe Hart in goal, we think. Gary Cahill.
Yeah, Gary Cahill and John Stones probably in central defence. I know Chris Smalling and Phil Jones are both available, but I think that's the way to go. Kyle Walker at right back, that's assuming he's fit and everything's okay. I'd have him at right back all day long. I know Kieran Trippier's in the squad now, and he's done great for Tottenham in the closing weeks of the season, but be a big ask to make his debut in that situation. Ryan Bertrand, steady Eddie at left back, yeah, no arguments with that. Central midfield, Eric Dyer. Last time against Lithuania he was joined by Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, but that was at Wembley against one of the weaker teams in the group. Maybe Gareth Southgate may feel he needs to stiffen the protection of the back four. Could he go Jake Livermore, someone like that, just who's more naturally defensively minded? I don't know, but I mean, up front certainly I'd love to see the 3 number 10s operating again, because they really are an exciting trio in Raheem Sterling, Dele Alli and Adam Lallana, and they can interchange. That's the thing. You're kind of saying it with Raheem Sterling on the right, Dele Alli in the middle, Adam Lallana on the left, but do you know what? Switch it all around, put whoever you like in the middle. You don't quite know where one of them's going to turn up, and that's why England can actually do really well off the back of those 3, their ability to switch positions and keep opponents guessing. And I would have Harry Kane up front ahead of Marcus Rashford. I'm a big fan of Rashford, but by the same token, Harry Kane has proved it yet again this year. When he's fit, scoring goals, he's the man that should be leading the line for England, and it would be great to see him get a goal or 2 over the course of these next 2 games that England have, just so that he can finish the season on a high. Because last summer he went into the Euros, everybody expecting great things of him, and it just never happened, and he really tailed off. This time I'd like to see him finish even better than he'd started the season, if you like.
It is the home of English football. They'll all be out here training next week. This is a replica Wembley pitch right behind us. It's so exciting going into this game. Let's have a look at the fixtures, Nick. Scotland to win 17-4, and the draw 12-5. England 7-10 to take the win there, and England to win by 2 goals or more 2-1. Might fancy that as well.
Well, yeah, okay. I can see England winning. That's not an issue so much. I'm not sure that it'll necessarily be by 2 goals. I think Gareth Southgate will look for a real kind of dogged, pragmatic performance. Listen, England drew 0-0 in Slovenia. They got outplayed for long periods, but they dug in and got an away point against the next highest ranked opponents, so therefore job done. It might be a similar kind of approach here, that yes, it's a British derby, Scotland will be absolutely pumped up, but as long as England don't lose, they're still going to be top of the group and then moving into next season. I still think this has the potential to be the hardest of England's 5 games that they've got to come, because as I said, Malta and Lithuania are the weaker teams in the group. They're the 2 away games. Slovakia and Slovenia at Wembley, or Scotland and Glasgow. I think if England do come through this and have 16 points from their 6 games at the end of the season, they can pat themselves on the back and say that they've done the hard work, and Russia is starting to really move into the horizon and into focus, because get through this one unbeaten and still with a clean sheet, I think England will be pleased enough with that. 2-goal win. Listen, wish you luck with that bet. I hope you're right.
You're taking it as a win then?
Yeah.
Win?
Yeah, definitely a win, but I think Scotland will make it hard. I'm not sure whether England will win by 2, but prove me wrong. Win by 3.
There you go. You heard it from the governor. But you can check out all the latest odds on betsafe.com. And remember, you've got to be in it to win it.